Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello there. Welcome to another Edmonton-Blender-Artists. My name is Chris, and I am the host of this meetup online. I'd like to start with a bit of a slight introduction to see if anyone shows up. Blender is a free and open source 3D animation and modeling software. It has many uses and capabilities, from 3D modeling and animating to 2D modeling and animating, video editing, image editing, storyboarding, gaming, models and worlds, and more, creating textures and all sorts of fun stuff. I am Chris. I'm a visual music artist producer who lives in Edmonton. If you do show up to these meetups, I am hearing impaired a bit, so if you have an accent or you're soft of spoken, just speak up and repeat yourself. It's all good. I'm the creator of this meetup. I thought I'd create it because I love Blender, and I think it's good to meet people within your region and your locality and your cities and your towns. This meetup is open to anyone in Edmonton, Alberta, or Canada, and even beyond, but it's primarily focused in Edmonton to try to get people together. And I will manage and guide this group. I'm going to try to. I've been pretty consistent. I'm trying to do this once a month, maybe a little more, but trying to keep it like once a month for about 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours, depending on what's going on. If it's a quiet night, it'll just be 1 hour. If it gets interesting, it might go past 1 hour. Why are we here? To meet people in Edmonton, like I said. I think it's important to find people who share the same passion as you. And Blender is it's a super amazing software, and it's free and it's open source, and you can do so much with it. And I think it's important to find people who share that passion, and we can teach each other from the basics to the most advanced and everything in between. And over time, I would, as people pop in and say hey and show themselves and teach us and tell us about what they do, I'd like to, kind of make this a hub for Blender artists, 3D artists who are looking to maybe, use what they do and their passion to make a living out of it, even if it's a side hustle to a full career. This will be a place where companies can find people, and also maybe as we grow the community, we can collaborate on short films, animations, music videos, and all that kind of fun stuff. And for the same purpose, to build experience and teach each other stuff, create portfolios that we can show to companies and businesses, and maybe get some work within the industry. The meetup plan is always, I'm open to any suggestions. I'm running the meetup, but if anyone wants to contact me and they might want to, run a meetup entirely themselves, I am 100% down with that. You can hang out and just take part and watch, or you can run the entire meetup and to whatever your heart's desire, as long as it's focused on Blender. The meetup structure for now is what I'm doing. Like the 0 to 10 minute mark, I'm just kind of explaining what I'm doing and then what's going on and how it's going to be structured, and see if anyone shows up. And from there, if there are newbies, I'd like to show them like the basics of Blender and, the interface and how it all works on a very basic level. And then after that, talk to people, get them to show and tell what they're doing, and talk about what they're doing and why they're into Blender and what they're doing in Blender, and discuss basically whatever they want to talk about. And then from beyond that, I'm going to always have a project, and if it's a quiet day today, I'll just go right into that project, and I'm going to change the project over time. But right now, it's I call it Old McDonald. It's just based on a couple of the online meetups in the beginning. Build a little farm with some animals and all that stuff on a basic level, more of a cartoony, cute kind of thing. And during any of this, at any time, anyone is more than free to speak up and say something. It's loose, it's open, it's friendly. Go nuts. Um, this whole thing, the content of it is going to be streamed to YouTube and maybe other platforms over time. So they're there for the future. They're there for anyone that just wants to watch, or they're there for the future for anyone that wants to have a reference and all that. There's a Telegram chat, and I will post that in the private chat for anyone that wants it. And I kind of want that to be the hub for Edmonton, for anyone who is working in Blender and wants to talk to someone who might be able to help them. So I encourage everyone to join that Telegram chat. And I'm going to keep it posted to the private chat if anyone shows up over time. And this is mainly organized through meetup.com. And you're more than welcome to invite more people to come and hang out and share the chat link if you get it through meetup.com. Down the road, I'm thinking about like making a website that can kind of add to what I was talking about earlier in regards to making this kind of a hub for Edmonton Blender artists. And if anyone wants, they can be on it and they can have a little profile and they can have links to whatever their portfolios are and all that stuff. And that's it. And right now, it's pretty quiet today. No one has showed up. And that is more than okay. So I've been working on Old McDonald. And right now, I've got it to the point where we have a bit of a cloud background. We got a little plain basic grass ground there. And we got 4 piggies. From there, the question is, where do we go? If you can see, that's the kind of camera angle. If you press 0, you can see where our camera is currently located. If you wanted to make a picture. I think I keep in my head, like I was working on the pig pen, and it's got some water, it's got some food, got 4 piggies in it in the mud, but I'm thinking it needs to have a barn. It's going to need a lot more animals and all that stuff too, but it's going to need to have a barn. So I'm going to make a barn, and I'm trying to keep this. I'm not claiming to be super advanced with Blender where I can make something super hyper realistic. Blender is more than capable of that, and maybe in time, working with others, we can try to do something down the road in terms of a project. But I'm trying to keep this very simple and cartoony and cute. So I'm going to make a cute little barn now. And I'll start with probably pressing Shift A and then going over to meshes. I'm going to make a cube. And the cube pops up right in this guy's head. And if I want to grab the cube, I'm going to press G, and then I'm going to move it back along the x-axis by pressing X. And I'm going to bring it over here for now. And then I'm going to kind of back up here, and I'm going to scale it by pressing S and then scaling it a little larger. I'm going to press 1 for now. Oh no, I'm going to press 3 for now. With a Mac, I'm pressing Command 3. And I'm going to press G and Z to move it on the Z axis. And then I'm going to press S to scale it, and then X to scale it on the, Y to scale it on the Y axis. And I think, yeah, that's probably about the right size there. And then this is going to be a pretty deep barn, so I'm going to scale it again on the S for scale, and then X to scale it on the X axis. And I think that's probably basically a good size. I think the pen is going to be a little further away, so I'm going to press G, and then on the X axis again with the pressing X, I'm going to move it back. And that's going to be the start of the barn. And what you can do, I like to, because I'm a creative person, I just like to kind of go off my memory of what I think a barn looks like. But with Blender, or just with art in general, often you can use reference images to kind of be a little more precise. And I'm just going to look up on Google barn, and I'm going to go to images. And I would even say that like this, pretty much say this one's a good one because it's got a bit of an angle to it. And then if I drop the image there, it's not going to work that way. Okay, so on here. I'm just going to screenshot this image. And then I'm going to put it in my files. And then if we look in here, oops, sorry, maybe I'll do this here. If we look, image, and then go to open, and then I go to Old MacDonald Had a Farm, and then I have a folder in, so I have my Old MacDonald folder where I keep the Blender file and other things associated with this Blender project. It's really good to be organized with your files and all that stuff. It just makes everything easier, especially the bigger your project gets. So I have an images folder, and I have an images, and I just moved my barn photo in there, and I'm going to open it. Oh, no, that's a trough. Sorry. One second here. Where did I move? Oh, did I move in the wrong spot? Yeah, I moved in the wrong spot. Sorry about that. I'll name it barn as well, just to keep it simple. So again, you go up here in image. I'm going to open it, and then I'm going to open the barn PNG. So now in here, in Blender itself, I have a reference image for a barn. And I decided that that's my barn. And to start, I'm not trying to make, again, a hyper-realistic barn, but I want to make something more cartoonish and similar to this barn. And I use the cube to get the basic structure down. And I'm looking at the cube now, and I'm looking at the barn, and it's the barn should be longer and less wide. So I'm going to scale it on the y-axis down a bit. And I think that makes it more of a barn. And I'm trying to keep the perspective based on the pigs and the pen. I feel like the barn should be a little bit bigger, so I'm going to press S to scale it just a little bit bigger. And I'm going to grab it with G and rise it to Z a little up. And then I'm going to move it back. Grab it with G and back with X. And you can see, if you're not sure, the red is the X-axis. You see this line all the way across the screen. And then Y is the Y-axis, which is green. Or sorry, I think wait. Yeah, yes, that's right. Okay. It just represents the axes for X and Y. And if you ever wanted to get rid of this for whatever reason, you can go up here to these double circles up here and show overlays, and you can get rid of that. But when you're modeling, it's really good to have it on to know what your perspectives are. So I think that's about right in terms of perspective. And I'm now going to where to begin. So I think I'm going to press Tab to go into edit mode. And then I'm going to make sure that I have faces on up here in this little box here. You can pick faces, edges, or vertices, but I'm going to pick faces. I'm going to press the top face, and I'm going to press G to grab and Z to bring it down a little bit. And then I'm going to press E to extrude. And I'm going to bring up some more here for the top half of the barn. And now we have a cube, and you can see how the barn kind of gets a little more rounded at the top, but it's still kind of squarish, if that's a right word to use. There's something called a loop cut, and if you press Control, if you go into edge mode up here first, and then you press Control and then R, you can see now I can cut it. I click there, and now it's perfectly in half there. But I'm going to move it down a bit, and I can cut one there. And then I'm going to do it again. Control R. And then I'm going to cut one about here. And then I think I'm going to do one more just for fun. Cut one about here. And now, if I hold Alt and click the edge here, or sorry, Control, Alt. Sometimes, I'm not sure why it's not working right now. Okay, well, sometimes you can get a full, I cut it a bunch of times, I guess it's not working, but you can get a full, it'll select all the edges if you hold Alt and click. But for now, it's not doing that. So I click the one edge. If I hold Shift, I can click the other edge and shift the other edge and shift the other edge. And now I've got all the edges. Now if I press S to scale, and I'm going to scale it on the Y-axis. So scale and then Y. Oh, because it's an edge cut, that's why. So the edge created extra stuff. Just gonna delete that. So let's try this again. So now if I hold Alt and I press it, it selects them all at the same time. And then I'm going to scale that and press X. Or sorry, Y. And yeah, so if you ever press, so I just accidentally press X when I meant to press Y, and it does that. But you can, as you're in scale mode, you can do that back and forth, and it doesn't matter. You can press X or Y, no matter if you screwed up or not, and it'll just move over to the proper axis for you. So I'm going to scale it about that to kind of shape it, and then I'm going to hold Alt again, and then click this edge, and then I'm going to scale it with S, and then on the Y. That looks somewhat all right. And I'm going to do it again. Maybe I'll scale a little bit more. SY again. Scale a little bit more. And I'm going to do Alt again on this axis. And I'm going to scale it XY. And then maybe one more time on this one. So now we got a bit of a round barn going on here. And if I take the click faces over here up in the top corner, and then I click on this face, and then I hold Shift, and I click on this face, and I click on this face, and I click on this face. Click on this face, and this face, and this face, and this face. And then I right click on those faces. I can go down and I can separate, and then I can separate selection. So now if I tab out, we have our barn initially, and then we have the roof of the barn is now a separate part. And I just realized now that it's somewhere in these folders over here in the layers. But what I want to do now is I want to go over here and press M, and I want to make it in a new collection. And I'm going to call this collection Barn. And again, just like with files on your computer, layers and objects and meshes and everything in Blender is good to organize really well in your outliner as you go. So this is now the barn folder, and it's down here, and we have the cube, and I can double click on this and name it roof. And then I'm going to click on the barn, and I'm going to press M, and I'm going to move it into the barn. And then you can also press F. On a Mac, it's FN F2, or it's just F2 on a PC, and you can rename it that way as well. And I'll call this just barn walls. And then I'm going to go back to the roof here. And if I go over to here and I click on modifier properties and I add a modifier, I'm going to solidify this. And nothing happened yet, but if you go to thickness, you can see as I rise it up, it's now a thicker piece. And if I click 3 and I press S to scale, I can now move it just a little outside of the edges of the barn. And as you can see, I don't have the tip of the barn yet. So I can click the edges here. If I go and click edges, I click edges here, and I shift hold and I click edges here. I can then press F to fill it. And now we have a complete roof. And then as you can see, it's not pointy like this guy over here. So what we're going to do is we can press Control R again for an edge loop cut, and just click it, and now it's in the center. And I'm going to grab it with G, and I'm going to raise it with Z, and that makes the barn roof. If we really want to get fancy and copy it, you can go as far as maybe taking this edge and this edge and then pressing 3, and then you can scale it in like this to kind of give that bend that it has. And then you can grab this one and this one, and again you can scale it outwards. Maybe grab this one again and scale it outwards again, just so it's actually outside of the barn. And if you want to stick to the color scheme, we have no material on it yet, so we can go to the material properties on here, click new, and we'll just keep it white for now, and maybe we'll make it we'll take the roughness and we'll rise the roughness up so it's not shiny, and that's white. But there's also shingles along the roof, so we want to add a new material. We add that new material and create it, and in here we can call it shingles, if I could spell properly. Shingles. Yes, right. And then if you go up here in your shading menu, you have your shader down here. And again, if you want to go to the internet and you want to go to Google, it's pretty amazing. You can buy a super advanced textures online from all sorts of suppliers, but you can also just find stuff for free with a simple search. So it's if you look up a seamless texture and you say shingles, seamless shingles texture, like there's more that you can just grab right off of Google. And if I go down here, like this one kind of looks pretty barny, old barn. That one has a watermark, so let's not do that one. See if we can find one. This one looks good. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not getting too copy image, save image as. And I'm going to move this to the images folder of Blender. And I will name it shingles. No, it's already got a decent, it's pretty long, but it's all right. So you can add, you can press in shader mode, you can press Shift A, search, or look within the menus, but you can find image. You search image, texture, and then from there you can open it up and load it. But it's amazing that you can just take the shingles and you can drag it from your actual folder from your computer and just drop it in there, and then it opens up image texture for you and does it all for you. And then you can take your color and you can attach it to your base color of your shingles, and you can see nothing happened yet. And that's because if you go to your layout and then you're still on your roof and you tab into your roof, the entire roof right now is under the white texture, the basic white texture that we created. And because I've used a modifier, it's only a flat plane. So if I put the shingles texture on it, the entire thing is going to be shingles, including this edge here, which you can see on the actual image. It's white. So what we want to do now is we want to tab out and go over to the modifier properties. And we want to apply this to make it a full completed mesh. So now if you tap into it, it's a physical mesh rather than just a plane. It's got its thickness and all that. So now that we're tapped into it, we want only the top part of it to be shingles. So if we go to the faces mode and we select with holding shift all the faces on the top, and then we go over to our materials properties and we click singles, and then we assign it. Now there's shingles on it. And you can see it's not looking exactly the way we want it right now, which is fine. What we want to do now is you go into the UV editing section and back out here. Look at our barn. And we want to press U for unwrap. And we want to unwrap the faces. And if we want, you can go up here so we can see it. You can press material preview mode, or gosh, yeah, we can look at it that way. And it's a little bit better, but it's not quite there yet. So if we go over to this panel and we press A for all, and then we scale it, and we scale it bigger and bigger and bigger, you can see now it's making more sense. The shingles are getting smaller, and we can decide exactly. I think that looks good. Maybe we'll scale a little bit bigger. That looks about right. We go over to layout. Now it looks like it's got shingles. And you can see too right now, like it's a little shiny. So if you go over here to material properties and turn the roughness up, now it's got a bit of a dark texture to it. And I'm looking at this right now, and that's not looking great there. So we click this and pick here. And then we go over here and we pick here, holding shift. And then we grab that with G, and then we press X. We can move that forward a bit. And then we can do that here, down here. Hold that shift, G, X, and move it back a bit. Kind of make it a little more sensical there. For now, I think that should be good for now. And if we click on the barn part, the barn walls, and we tab in, we can click on this face by clicking faces and going down here. And if we right click on here and we subdivide it, it's going to break it into a couple pieces, and we're going to make the cuts. Maybe let's say that's actually perfect right there, 2 cuts. And then if we click here and here and we delete the faces, now we have a door. I feel like this is super large, and I feel like a barn wouldn't be absolutely perfect, but we'll make it, because it's a cartoon, we'll make it kind of symmetrical. So we'll do a loop cut again with Control R. That's not going to work now. And then Control R. It almost worked. It cut the back. It didn't cut the back. Okay. Never mind. We'll leave it. We'll just leave it. That's fine. So we can add a material again, and we can make it rough by not having a shine, and we can go like red. So this is a cartoonish red barn. But again, we can look on Google. Barn walls. You can get anything basically on Google these days. Save images, downloads. And if we want to go into shading, drag it in again. You can just replace the basic color with the actual barn walls. And then if we go into UV editing again, this one might actually be an interesting case study here. Press A for all, and then U to unwrap. And you can get this weird kind of mess of an unwrap because it's unwrapping the entire barn, and the barn is not like perfectly square or symmetrical. So you're getting some strange kind of combo. So you can deal with that, and you can move things around to make it all work. And you can just simply press A over here and scale it up, and maybe rotate it and do all sorts of stuff. Pick the different vertices and all that. But there's also another type of unwrap, which is smart UV project. And if you just do that, now it kind of unwraps it in a more sensical way, if I can say. And then you can see that. But I don't know if I want to get into seams yet, but you can also, maybe I should. So that is a pretty decent unwrap, and you can work with that a lot easier than the original, just basic unwrap. There's also another way you can do it where you can select the edges. If you go here, 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 and then you right click and you mark seam there, and then you go over here, you go here, and you mark seam there, and then you mark a seam here, and you mark a seam here. That in itself, if you select it all and then you smart UV unwrap, it'll change it again into an even more sensical way because it's now created the boxes that are necessary. And if you go over here and you select certain points here, you can now pick where you want certain sections of the barn to be projected on. And if you look around, which one am I moving here? Looks like the back. This side here. Where am I moving? Well, that's the one side. So it's easier too if you, instead of trying to do it the way I'm doing right now, if I want to pick this face here, just the one face. Now I'm just have this one to deal with. And you can see anywhere on this image, I can move it around and make it make sense. And right now it's looking like I need to rotate this with an R and then 90 degrees by pressing 90. And now it turns the panels the right way. And if I scale it, down or up, I can pick a way that I think makes the most sense. I think that looks pretty good. And then you can do the same by clicking all these. And again, it needs to be rotated. You try to like match each side. Scale it up. And yeah, your barn's looking a little bit more like a barn. And I think I'm going to end it there for today. I encourage more people to join in as time goes on, and hope to see you all next time.